Hi everyone, Esther here. Thank you so much for tuning to my channel. It's always a pleasure to interact with you, and thank you so much for all your emails and your support. I always looking forward to interact with you. And as always, I ask if you have any questions, you're welcome to send an email, and I would love to see if you're looking for any, specific concepts you want me to discuss in my next videos. This video will contain two parts. The first part, I'm going to explain the general information about lunar eclipse, especially the partial lunar eclipse, why it's partial. And the second part of the video I will show you what's really happening in the sky during this upcoming lunar eclipse and how it's going to affect the 12 signs. And why it's really important, I'm actually going to mention 12 signs because it's literally gonna trigger your karmic tikkun and karmic incarnation process. It's really, really important days. It's, anything connect to moon, it's directly connect to our emotions, and it directly connect to the south and north nodes of the moon. And as you know, the south and north node, they're extremely important. They represent where we came from and what we came to accomplish in this dimension. So it's more we're going to learn about, it's better we can understand ourselves and the process why we're here. Okay. And just to remind you, always check what is your rising. And if you don't know exactly the time of your birth, definitely use your moon. Now, with regards to another, if you do know your exactly the time of your birth and you do know your correct rising, which is extremely important. So usually what I do recommend according to ancients, and I do believe it's always best way to go if you're ready, especially if you're ready after 25 years old and you really start to more and more connect to your moon. If you're born during the light hours, which is from sunset to sunrise to sunset, I always recommend mainly to check your rising. If you're born the hours which is after sunset, during the moon hours, you more connect to really moon phases. So I do recommend more to check your moon. And you always can check your sun as well, because the sun it's really represent our our force, our life force. So it's good thing as well to connect. But again, like I said, mainly connect to your rising and your moon, and really depends on the time of your birth. So what's really, really important for us to understand, particularly this lunar eclipse we're going to have, it's really, really unique. It's the first time since 1441. For the last time we have this type of partial, and the longest lunar eclipse was 580 years ago. So you can imagine the energy we're going to experience. And it's really important for us to be prepared, to be aware with energy in order for us to benefit from it and not necessarily to be influenced by it, right? So, and it's really not quite what you think. It's nearly full moon. Well, it's not like the full moon eclipse we used to. It's usually become reddish and orange, right? Here's everything I'm going to explain to you about this particular one. So on this coming Friday, I'm talking about Easter time, North America. So if you live in different part of the world, so definitely check where this lunar eclipse is going to appear and what time. So again, I'm referring to the Easter time. In this coming Friday, November 19, 2021, in North America, we're going to see North America, South America, Australia, East Asia. It's going to start to turn red. However, it won't go completely red. You can see in this picture, it's going to be almost like during event, only 97% of the moon will enter Earth's shadow in space, and leaving a tiny portion still illuminated by the sun. Okay, so it's interesting in a way. We're going to have so to say support. There's going to be still really, really positive forces. Creator really want us to get the light from this tiny exit, right? So it's really, really unique. And the total lunar eclipse occurs when a full moon passes through the Earth shadow in space. Each month, the new moon passes roughly between the Earth and the Sun, and then orbits of the other side of the Earth to the Sun to become in full moon. So when those alignments are precise, they cause either solar eclipse or lunar eclipse. So the moon's orbits, it is titled in respect to the ecliptic, right? The sun's apparent path through our daytime sky. So only very occasionally does a new moon eclipse and the sun, the total eclipse, and a full moon travel through the Earth shadow and total lunar eclipse. So what will happen this Friday, November 19, when it's traveled to the edge of the Earth shadow, right? So let's see over here. So as the three, it's going to be really unbelievable because it's really called blood moon. I don't like this really name was given, but this is what astronomy and astrological terminology coming from. So at the 3 hours 28 minutes and 23 seconds, this lunar eclipse will be longest lunar eclipse, like I said, and even since 2001 we had something closer to that, but until 2100, according to NASA, we're not going to experience such a long lunar eclipse. So take that with the pinch of salt, so to say. It is the longest partial lunar eclipse we're going to experience in our lifetime. It no other lunar eclipse in this century, I'm telling you. So that's not hugely it's kind of because of the total lunar eclipse, you get an additional period of a few hours, okay, and it's really really unbelievable. And if you look at it, we're gonna really experience different force of energy this period of time. So the partial phases of this upcoming eclipse will last for so long because the beaver moon, so pay attention what I'm explaining. I really want you kind of to understand astronomy of this before we're going to understand astrological and so to say psychological part of this event. So the eclipse will last for as long because the beaver moon is going to be the smallest full moon of the year. So you will ask why? Because the moon will be slightly further away than usually, than on average, okay? So the moon has ecliptical orbit that sees in reach a close point, okay? It's called like a supermoon, perigee. It's called as well a perigee of the supermoon. And the far point, apogee, each month, okay? This month happens to show us as the farthest moon, which is so nearly 1.7 days after the eclipse, okay? Since it is far away, the Earth shadow is larger. So will take longer to travel through this process in ecliptic. It is therefore an unusual deep lunar eclipse. Okay. Um, and the physics is the same as the sunset. It's in the physics explain the same way as a sunset or sunrise. In fact, during lunar eclipse, the effect is like thousands of sunrise and sunsets being projected into the lunar surface. So the energy is going to be really intense. However, in 2.6% of the moon won't enter the Earth shadow. Like I said in the beginning, it's located on the southern limb of the moon. So the south side of the moon. It will remain lit by the sun while most of the lunar disk will be turned red. This is really unique. You can see here, I'm showing you guys. So what will happen during this blood moon in partial eclipse? The partial lunar eclipse is rare, really the three eclipses. It's actually not, why it's another way, it's unusual because of the partial lunar eclipse, it's really the three eclipses going to happen in once, okay? And it's happening in 5 stages. The event begins when the full moon enters the Earth shadow It's called penumbra and lunar eclipse. It then begins to enter Earth inner shadow. It is called umbra, and it does begin to turn red. Partial lunar eclipse. Once the whole of the moon is inside of the umbra shadow, okay, that's totally going to be lunar eclipse of the 97% 97.4% red. You see, I'm showing here for you. So the partially, it's still going to have a light, which is, I see this as a really good sign. I see this as a good positive forces will be entering, because remember, every time when we have lunar eclipse, it's very deep and heavy on our emotions. But light, the creator decided to give us support. We always have support, but this time I feel like light of creator decide, guys, you need support now even more. We are here for you. We're cheering for you. We know the work you do, you know how it's important, because we live in a time of heroes. So therefore we're going to send you even more support. I think it's really, really beautiful, right? So this global event visible to everyone on the night side of the earth, but when you can see its deepest, of course, on your time zone. So you really need to check your time zone, okay? The next lunar, and remember, the next lunar eclipse will occur next year, May 16, 2022. Okay, when this 100% reddish blood moon will be visible in North America for 84 minutes. So I'm just telling you right now in advance. So this eclipse season is not done, as you know. It's just the beginning, because the partial lunar eclipse will follow on the next moon on the Saturday, December 4th. We're going to have in 2021 this year. We'll have the most dramatic eclipse of all, and it's going to be total solar eclipse. I will make completely separate video. And it's interesting, this upcoming solar eclipse will be visible only in a few, only will few locations. And I think the people who will take cruise to go to Antarctica, sorry, they actually will be able only to see it, the solar eclipse. Okay, so one thing I want to mention, guys, before I will you will go to the next video about for the 12 signs. It is not good idea to look at the to the lunar eclipse. I do not recommend, because it represent luck, it represent deep emotions. So it's not good idea to go outside and to observe. Okay, this is really not recommended by ancients. We can connect to the lack of light. We need to connect to the full light. So when it's going to happen, it's really good period of time to meditate, to study. If you have a Zohar, if you have a spiritual books inside, if you practice meditation, if you don't practice meditation, this is the good time to start. Okay, so I wish you many blessings, and looking forward to share with you more information of specifically for your rising and moon. Bye-bye.